Kesav,
Yes.
we have been planning this conversation around K. Balagopal for a very long time, and I think it's at least 5-6 months that we have been talking about. And in fact, I thought in between that you were even disappointed that I've been talking about it and it's never really happening. But so finally we have it. So this is very nice to be here talking about K. Balagopal. Let me start with something which you were saying earlier in the conversation we had, that he would never really engage in this kind of radical rhetoric, or even when it came to emotions, just like just trying to like get some emotionally charged radical statements, but he used to stick to facts.
Yes.
And the emotion would come out of the facts, right? And it really struck me when you told me that. And even my experience of Balagopal, whatever little I saw of him in Delhi when he used to come to give talks and all of that. And I remember he had come to JNU once, and that was, they had gone on a fact finding to Kashmir. And as you know, Kashmir is a very, very volatile place. And when he came back, we had called him for a talk in the campus, and that time there was a lot of tension in the campus because Kashmir, as you know, it's a hot button sensitive thing, and the right wingers were really opposing everything that was happening around on the question of Kashmir. And in that kind of a completely polarized, surcharged atmosphere in the campus, he came and spoke on Kashmir, and you have all these other guys who are giving these slogans that, like really blood and murderous kind of slogans on the question of Kashmir. So they didn't want any program on Kashmir to take place. But when Balagopal spoke, he had just come back from Kashmir. He only gave facts, one fact after another. Usually activists, they also get carried away and they become overly ideological in the wrong way, and they become extremely sentimental and ideological. But he was just giving facts, and the facts spoke for itself. So much so, even neutral fence-sitting students were convinced by what he was saying. So maybe you want to start with a few comments on that.
Yes. No, Kashmir is a very striking point he made very often about Kashmir. He used to say we are very map conscious, not the people conscious. You will see that Kashmir is the head of our map, which is sitting. Then without head, how can we live? That imagination. We are always in that imagination. The people never even visited Kashmir. We don't know who are the people, what kinds of problem it is there. The way you kind of identification, and the way the people who are struggling for their rights and autonomy, and they never bothered about the issues, and we are only for the map conscious, not the people consciousness. That means it is really the most of our in present day generation also, they are not bothered about any other thing other than the maps or some idea of Kashmir rather than the people struggles. This is that there he makes us to be think about the Kashmir. That is like Hyderabad University also about Kashmir issue. It is every time the Kashmir become a flashpoint, whenever the crisis situation is there between the two nations, Kashmir become a flashpoint for both the nations and all. We feel it is a sensitive issue not to talk. But Balagopal, he bring out the strength of Balagopal is that he comes with the facts. Most of the people who used to talk, they become carry with the rhetoric and using some kind of rhetoric and some kind of art to make emotionalize the speech like that. But always he used to depend on the facts. He packs the facts together, and ultimately it leads to one kind of logical conclusion. There he generates the emotions and all. There the strength and all. He tried to follow like very often people used to say he got inspired by the Bertrand Russell, he tried to believe in logic and logical understanding of things, factual understanding, and there the kind of rationality.
Yeah, talking about factual and the logic, what also when the first time I had heard about Balagopal and about his work, one thing that really tickled me was the fact that Balagopal is a mathematics person, right? And I have a kind of a respect for people who do mathematics and then come into law and activism.
Yes.
Right? So maybe his mathematics background also helped him to really think in those very precise terms.
No, not only mathematics. He started his career in academic career as a mathematician in REC Warangal, Regional Engineering College Warangal. That is the place at that time. It is the radical politics were taking place at the time. Later he did PhD and later become a from somewhere in
The PhD was
mathematics.
mathematics.
81 to 85 he became a professor faculty in mathematics in Kakatiya University, and the Balagopal is his theorems and people are familiar in mathematics also. He has a strong mark.
Oh, okay.
And the people he is in editor for the very well known international journal at the time. Interestingly, now people are the kind of people we are having. And he gave up the job only out of the fascination for the politics and the struggles, and that the kind of environment he has lived in the Warangal, and ultimately he take up the issue of the full timer for the civil rights activist. That is a very challenging task.
Yeah.
And he dedicated the thing. After that, he is 3 decades. He worked in as a civil rights activist. And he actually civil rights activist is the very challenging task, where mostly it is the initial stage of the civil rights movement. It is subordinated to the Naxalite politics, something like that it is there. But later he created the one kind of autonomous space for the civil rights movement. And even though from his journey started from the Andhra Pradesh Civil Liberties Committee, popularly known as APCLC. From APCLC, from somewhere 1983 to something, the 3 decades he was there. 2005 he differs with that organization, and also general radical politics. If I have some kind of complaints, and there he formed one new organization, that is 2006. 2005 it seems, so it is a human rights forum. That way he generated the new intellectuals or rights activists. That is the contest where he is where we can see Balagopal. The strength of Balagopal is that he has a conviction. Next is more than conviction, he has a courage. More than conviction and courage, he has a good communicator, political communicator, and effective communicator. Apart from all these things, he is a very intelligent, very good scholar, and his intelligence plays more than intelligence and creativity plays important role in his life, shaping what we mean by Balagopal. Balagopal is a man, is a very ordinary man. He lived like ordinary man, even though he can go to the heights in academics or whatever the field he chooses. He lived as an ordinary man, but at the same time, very interestingly, he is a scholar. We Telugu society can feel proud of the scholar. They equally respected by both it is elite and academics and also ordinary people. He lived with ordinary people, and he not come from the intellectuals on the books. He came from the experience of the life and the people, and that way his importance it is there in Telugu society. In fact, he stood with all kinds of alternative struggles. At the same time, he is not carried with any of the struggles, and he has his own, as you discussed, as you told, is the position he will take very objective position, and not only objective position, he will take the responsibility of as a communicator of that any issues you take, either the reservation issue or politics of Hindutva, issues of development and Adivasis issues, or human rights violations and fake encounter issues. And he is very meticulous, and the way he created the new ground, even writing the fact finding reports. Earlier it is the fact finding writing something that, but the way he tried to write the fact finding reports, that is remarkable, and that way it is Balagopal. It is real. We feel that thing really. This is a vacuum after Balagopal. We feel is a vacuum, but nobody can replace Balagopal. People used to say such a kind of what we can say belief, or it is identification with Balagopal.
Yeah. I had heard, you would know better, you mentioned the fake encounters. Apparently in some villages, after a fake encounter takes place, the villagers, they would not let the body to be taken away, either for cremation or to be taken away by the police. Still Balagopal would reach. And the message would go to Balagopal, I don't know, in some town or in Hyderabad, until he reaches there, he would take a bus or something, they would not allow the body to be taken away. You know, the to take up the case and corner the police and all.
Yeah, that's what. He demanded the power.
Yeah.
In the generally, people afraid of the state and the state missionary police, but because of he demanded this courage and conviction, demanded the power. He didn't bother anybody.
Yeah, yeah.
He didn't care anybody.
Yeah. Yeah.
That way, the police also used to give respect to him and all because of his integrity. Main thing is that his integrity. He never compromised with anybody on any issue.
Yeah.
Never compromised, and also that is, as you told,
Yeah.
the people who have a strong belief waiting for him. They not only Balagopal, so many other
Because that
intellectuals.
kind of trust happens across years. You know, you have to be really seen and working in close intimacy with the people.
Yes.
To develop that kind of a trust. You know, people are trusting him at such a fundamental level.
Yes.
You know, there is this book which came out in English called Ear to the Ground. This is a collection of different essays, and and thankfully there is a collection like this. Otherwise, those of us who read him in translation in English, we have very little. I think most of his works are still in Telugu. But when I saw this title, they titled this collection of his essays, they titled Ear to the Ground. So, ear to the ground, very fine, kind of. But I think this captures only one side of Balagopal, because of course his ear is to the ground, but I think it's not just the ear, but also his, what should I say, body and soul. Also his mind, because what I find fascinating in Balagopal, from whatever I have read in English translation or in some of his economic and political weekly articles, is that he is able to, like earlier we talked about facts and emotion, he is able to take facts and also develop concepts around that. So in that sense, to me it also looks like he has an ear to the ground, but he is also able to take the ground and bring it close to concepts, right? Now that's a big art, and one of the problems we have in this country is either you are involved in this day-to-day grinding activism without really getting a chance to reflect much on how the entire thing falls in place, how it coheres or it doesn't, the kind of theoretical reflection, or you have the theoretical Brahmins, right, doing only theory, high theory, radical theory, and at most when they go and do something which is beyond theory, it will be like some Jantar Mantar protest or this campus politics, and the campus politics is also very abstract, but Balagopal is someone who is able to like bring the kind of two together, and yet really not weaken his theoretical and critical repertoire, right? I remember the kind of critique he has done of Gail Umveth, on caste, for example, or
provincial property.
Or this who is that Desai, who has written this book?
A.R.
Desai, amazing critique of A.R. Desai, because A.R. Desai and Gail Umveth is saying they think of farmers in India are mostly into capitalist agricultural farming, but he is trying to say that look, still there is so much of feudal relations in the agrarian sector, and that's where of course he is trying to bring in the ML movement and the Naxalbari movement. So I know you want to talk about his critique of the Naxalbari movement, and a moment ago you told me that he in this book, and of course he will maybe tell us more about it. But let me just flag this, that he is of course very critical of the Naxalite movement, and I am not even getting into his larger theoretical critique of Marxism, with which I don't disagree, but we are not even going there. But just in the question of Naxalbari and the ML movement, to me it looks like he is still thinking that, and in that sense he is agreeing with the basic theoretical understanding of the Naxalbari movement, of the ML movement, which is that in agriculture, in the agrarian sector, you still do not have capitalist relations of production. There is still feudal relations, there is still semi-feudal relations, and I saw in the English translation and the English articles, he is again and again saying that those like Gilomveth or A.R. Desai believe that in Indian rural agrarian scenario, there is already capitalism. So the chief contradiction is between capitalist farmers
property
and
class,
and the landless Dalit or landless laborers, you know, whereas he is saying that you still have feudal relations within, and hence the kind of political mobilization which happens around Naxalbari is kind of still relevant, right? I mean, I know he has lot of critique of the ML movement, but I think as something happening out there, the Naxalbari movement, he seems to be really not just getting inspired in his earlier days, but also agreeing with some of the theoretical formulations of the on which the Naxalbari movement is based. So maybe you want to
let me start with the the way your initiation. The strength of Balagopal is that he is bilingual. He will write in equally in Telugu and also in English. He will write started from the small pamphlets to and posters to still the international journals. You know, economic, political, weekly. It is how it is. It has this academic importance. It is there. And apart from this thing, as a theoretically, his position is very. We have seen many scholars who came from the Marxist tradition is also very strong in India. Very particularly, you know, the JNU and other contexts, you know, the scholars it is there. But we can see the limitations of the scholars, we can easily identify. Mostly they carried with the books, the theories and all. From the books to books, they you can see the life of these people. But where Balagopal very much is emphasized that it is the theory and practice, more than that life experience plays important role he tries to talk about. Then the theory also, yes, he is also talks about like many people in the Gramsci, Adorno, Eric Fromm and all these people very often people used to quote. And in postmodernism, very often all the academics are filled with these words. But where the strength of Balagopal is that he will try to read this kind of theory. He knows, first of all, there is no much theoretization happening about the struggles of the people. The people who are struggling, struggles are there, but close to reality, but there is not much theory is developed and all. But where here, he understood that theory has to develop, at the same time, he tried to see the theories which are, he tried to understand from the books and all. But he can easily see the limitations of each and every theory in the light of the struggles of the people and all. That is there where we can see the strength of the Balagopal. Maybe in the other way it is the struggles of the Telugu society may be contributed here and all. In the Telugu society, one way strong radical movement we have seen, 80s and 90s. And 90s onwards, we have seen the Dalit movement, which are questioning even the very idea of Marxist framework, and also the very close, the raw social reality, which is caste. The issue of the caste question, came forward. They try to say this thing. The earlier slogan, it is that Naxalbari Eki Rasta. Now it is say that thing. It is not only Naxalbari, it is also against the Brahmanism. It is where they targeted the Brahmanism, anti-caste struggles, they targeted the Brahmanism is a prime enemy, like that, they totally changed the discourse. Then you know the feminist movements also, how it is very strong both in literary and political terms in Andhra Pradesh. And later Dalit movement also, within Dalits also the categorization movement, Dandora and all.
What is this categorization?
Categorization, within Dalits they say that reservation is enjoyed by the few sections of the people, but not all. That way, it is among the Dalit subcaste, there is a movement, it is there, Madig Dandora movement, one such a prominent movement. It is also right. Apart from this thing, globalization struggle, anti-global struggles also is very prominent, and ecological struggles also very. That create the political environment. There is a fertile ground for to theorize, but there not much theorization took place. But where Balagopal has tried to fill that gap, he tried to. We always look for what Balagopal said and all. Even though it is about Naxalite movements or Dalit movement or it is women's movement. Somewhere we want to see some kind of authentication from the Balagopal, because of his very objective and also sincere and sensible. That is the where we see the Balagopal. That is the context of, we can say, the importance of the Balagopal. Next, you try to say about the left movement. About the left movement, and initially they have romantic idea, not only 70s generation and later people also in Andhra Pradesh for a long time. It is very particularly Telangana region. It is Naxalite movement is very strong presence. It is there, so lakhs of people is mobilized. You can see the meetings of the Gaddar.
Yeah.
We never seen such kind of
Huge,
mobilization.
huge mobilized.
Mobilized lakhs of people.
This is where Nizam grounds or something.
Nizam, not only, almost all over Andhra major cities are organized. That time we are the initial days. We are in the university, Hyderabad University studying. That is late 80s and 90s, early 90s. That is a surprise. We don't know how much. This is not the politically. It is government program. The people's program, that too alternative struggles, such kind. We didn't see that means the struggle reached the political imagination of the people and all. That's why you can see lot. But within no time now it is not that is the case. But at the time itself, the Balagopal understood that the strength of the movement. At the same time, he understood over the period of time the kind of weakness of the struggles also he identified. Definitely, he acknowledged the Naxalite movements. It is liquidated the one kind of feudal authority, and Doratanam used to call in Doratanam. Against Doratanam, the ordinary people.
Doratanam is what? Landlordism?
Landlordism, it is there.
Okay.
And, that kind of against that one, the struggle is give the courage to the people, to ordinary people. That level is accepting. At the same time, it is over the period of time, the Naxalite movement also moved towards from political to the, it is much more, it is what we can say, it is armed struggle, armed squad focused and all. There he, of course it is, there he lost some kind of
not just armed struggle, but armed squad
squad centric kind of politics it is there and all. And there his intervention, there he tried to talk about he's waited for a long time. As for a long time he was internal critic, and ultimately he has opened up this debate, that is the Chekadi Konalu, that is the dark angles in the left movement. It is there it is this is the book. It is about the one kind of review about the 3 decades of the Naxalbari movement and Gamyam and Gamanam. There is
railway station.
Your railway station.
My railway station. Naxalbari railway station. That yellow board you find in all railway
from
stations.
Your place only.
Yeah. So that's and this is of course the the armed cadres of the thing.
No, there we identified 2 levels. He has his criticism. It is there. One is against the Marxist theory itself. The second one is that about the practice, the organization. We have seen from the Soviet Russia to the where we can see official Marxism has taken over, and there we can as easily we can say orthodox Marxism, Marxist Leninist kind of. Then later we can say in our Telugu society, in other places, in India there is Naxalite politics. You have seen Maoist politics, and there is also armed. They believe that thing armed struggle. They are believing it, and there he tried to see the only theory and practically lot of problems he identified. We will still see that we will start later. We will see to that. His point, his criticism is that somewhere we lost. He also strong believer of the socialism. He also argues, he definitely is critical about the capitalism. He is very much critical, and he is commodifying every relations, the kind of exploitation taking place in the name of capitalism. There is very much critical. But the socialism he tried to build, at least Samasamajam, he tried to talk about Samasamajam, the way no exploitation it is there. And that society, there he tried to say some kind of lack of theoretical innovation is somewhat lacking in Marxist theory I talk about, and other is also practical creativity is lacking. Practical creativity and theoretical innovation is lacking in the Marxist movement, and from the what we can say the from 60 years 70 years the time where the till the collapse of the Soviet Union, then he started his initial criticism against the Soviet Union. Where he focused on the two strategies, one is economic strategy and other is the political structure. But where the Soviet Union very much is focused on the progress, economic development, they give the much more priority to economic development. Through economic development we can resolve all the issues like that, but they are not bothered much about the very idea of the new society, what is the basis of the new society, and that they are not bothered. There he tried to talk about progress without having the consciousness. There is a danger to the socialism. Progressiveness, what we are talking about, progress, will measured in terms of the economic growth.
Saying progress without consciousness.
That means
what does that mean? Like
people should have consciousness without raising the political consciousness of people. You are saying this thing only development and that kind of progress no use like that he tried to talk about. Then it is then when in new society and where it is the people have the freedom and understanding. His main argument is that we socialism, most of the people believe the East European nations and the Russia, they believe that socialism, it is we reach the socialism, but what his argument is that it is the we as per theory, Marxist theory, it is believed that thing for dictatorship of the proletariat. But in place of dictatorship of proletariat, there is a dictatorship of the communist parties taken over. That itself they say that it is a revolution. There is a lot of difference it is there, and there that is his one kind of argument and one kind of strong criticism against the communist experiment is that only it is not the labor taken over that kind of thing. It is only communist parties are taken over. That is one argument he tried. There is one kind of failure it is there. And the way we didn't develop the politically structures, we have to raise the consciousness of the people, it is not there. There is no freedom also for the people also not there, where he tried to quote the Rosa Luxemburg. After the people should, labor should have the, people should have the freedom even to contest the, even in the communist countries also to contest against the state. And there outside the state also people should have the freedom. There he tried to identify even and as the Rosa Luxemburg one. Then after come to the Indian context, the where it is a staunch criticism against the Naxalite politics. One is that it is the most of the politics centered around the state violence. It is because of repression, and most of the people also justify this theory in the name of the, rather than rectifying themselves. They used to see the problem some way that it is imperialism is a problem. They for all issues they say that imperialism is a danger, is enemy, like that they used to say. Or some other level they say that it is because of revisionism and also imperialism. These are the issues only very often. If you say the Marxist pundits also, they never be taken serious look into the theory and practice of the Marxism, what kind of problems involved with this thing. And there he tried to talk about the way they as the democratic struggles, now the democratic organization, consolidation of the people, it is what armored squads taken over, there not only taken over, it is also created some kind of, not with the politics, it is creating some kind of terror. And most of the time the while very often we used to question about the state violence, but never try to see the private violence, and even that one has to see also serious look at to the violence of the Naxalites also, and ultimately who are the people who got killed, the both killed and also people who are killing also happened in the cadre, most of them Dalits only. That is that argument also he tried to bring out. And there he tried to making the some kind of, yes, life is, his argument is that life is precious. We should not just like that we can take over. That is the starting point and the end point for his human rights activism. And they should be where Marxist, the where political the struggles they believe in some kind of to fulfilling some immediate demands, some kind of material benefits. But where he argues the human rights organization should be looked for some kind of, should be based on some kind of values. That value should be the central focal point for the movements, like that he used to say. And there, from there onwards, it is many people also criticize the Balagopal as withdrawn, and since the many ways he keeping away, not keeping the toe in the line of the official line of this party, then people try to look, even the many of the people, they try to sidelining him, like that they try to talk about. But never, Balagopal never withdraw from the politics, and even though he never bothered about what other people think about. He never allowed somebody taken away his freedom and all. And he proved itself, and also he expanded the space for the human rights. And later his argument is that one should be fight against the hegemony. It is not only the class and it is the state violence, and there is other violence also there. In a structural violence is there in a society in the name of the caste, gender, region, different forms of violence it is there. We have to equally fight, and we should not be prioritized which one is first. Let us be identify Dalit politics or the left politics or women, and you should be equally prioritize everything, and we should, that's what human rights agenda, that's what he argues.
One of the things I am reminded of when you talked about Balagopal's critique of the way violence was used in the armed struggle, that every human life is precious, you know, and he started from that. And I think, as you said, he's trying to build his critique of Marxism based on humanism. So you have man and Marxism, Manishi Marxism, that is there. I am reminded of this debate which is from Italy. In Italy in the 60s and 70s, there was of course an intense working class movement in the Fiat factories. You know, the autonomist Marxism, Antonio Negri, this Mario Tronti, all of them came out of it. But at that time there was also an armed struggle which was going on called the Red Brigades. So the Red Brigades, when they engaged in armed struggle, they used political violence. And in that, there is this debate around that time. I think this French Marxist Giri board had this exchange with Sanguinetti. Sanguinetti is Italian Marxist, and there were other people also. And one of the things they said, those who rejected any kind of humanist position and also rejected humanist Marxism, one of the things they said was that life should ideally beget life. Life should lead to life. But if there is a life which does not beget life but which gives rise to death, if life instead of begetting life begets death, then we can take away that life. In that sense, from the side of the revolutionary movement, killing was justified by saying that in order to protect the life of a large majority of people, you might have to take the life of certain individuals, right? So I do not know whether in Andhra Pradesh the debate went to this level, that from within a Marxist position, whether anybody could defend political killings, you know, on this basis. The other thing I want to also bring to your attention, and then maybe, you know, you can tell us more about what Balagopal would have responded possibly, is also the critique of humanist Marxism. Already, you know, you referred to the Soviet Union while talking about Balagopal. So because of the rise of bureaucratic kind of socialism in Soviet Union, where the ordinary individuals' rights and liberty and emotions and happiness was not respected, in the West there was an entire movement coming out of this Leszek Kolakowski, you know, who wrote the 4 Currents of Marxism, and so many others who, and they were reading the economic and philosophic manuscripts of Marx, you know, and they said, look, here is the young Marx, here is the humanist Marx, and this young and the humanist Marx was counterposed against the mature Marx, which was more economic and economistic and all of that. But there I have a fundamental disagreement with this kind of a humanist interpretation of Marx, and there I, at that level, only on this point I go with Althusser, who really rejected this kind of a humanist Marxism, saying that while it sounds good when you say, oh, humanist Marxism, humanism, we should all love humanity, but that also has a lot of problems, and not just problems, more specifically that is not Marxism. So to me it looks like maybe the debate did not go in this direction because this was happening in a different context. To me it looks like with Balagopal, it looks like, as I said earlier, he seems to have an agreement with certain key theoretical positions of the Naxalite movement about the understanding of land relations, agrarian relations, which is so important, right? So, but if you agree with those positions of the ML movement, Naxalbari movement, then of course the path of armed struggle follows quite obviously from that, right? Because if you do not have fully developed capitalism, if the relations are not really between capitalist, agricultural owner and workers, then you cannot have open democratic struggles. Then armed struggle becomes a necessity. What to me then looks like is that Balagopal is actually disagreeing with the way armed struggle was done in practice, rather than with the very theory of armed struggle as a path of revolution.
No, not
The practical aspects, I think,
not
he seems to be
exactly
disagreeing.
armed struggle as a problem. The way in the name of armed struggle,
exactly.
in the name of armed struggle, creating the terror,
That's right.
taking away the lives of the people, innocent people, or some, because some reason we can say somewhere or other. There he is very much criticized, but the problem is that not any criticism we can't bear, very particularly politically. That is the problem.
Exactly.
That is one more point. When you raise the way it is, he brings about the young Marx and where humanism is a point. He is also he brings the discussion of Erich Fromm. Erich Fromm is Frankfurt intellectual.
Erich Fromm.
And they are also critical about the. There Erich Fromm, not only Erich Fromm, he tried to bring the Freud also. Both Freud and critical theory itself, it very well. They brings about they are critical about the economic reductionism. They gives much more emphasis on the culture and morality. That is very much important. They are also critical about the idea of enlightenment based on instrumental rationality, such level it is there. And there, what he argues, first let us see the Freud and all. Freud generally Marx is never took seriously and all. But where he tried to talk about the way the Freud is important in developing the personality, human personality. The human beings are also, there is a conflict between the individual and also external reality. From there it shapes the mind. And the way one has to take the consciousness into consciousness made up of also unconsciousness also part of consciousness. To understand that one, the way one has to understand the human drives, the way very particularly in the context of the fascist context in the Germany and Italy. There they argue that why authoritarian structures are, why nations are authoritarian, why people also somewhat it is identified with that kind of authoritarian. Then he identified there the people, they try to see the psychological drive, and there we try to say that Freud is very much important. That way they brings out the Freud and Marx. They have to bring together Freud psychoanalytic theory and also Marxist theory. That level it is there. And ultimately when he try to bring out the Erich Fromm, he argues that there is a need to be humanize our drives and all. We used to caught up in different situations. The anxieties will be there, lot of problems will be there out of this thing, how to express. Sometimes we'll carry it subordinated to the ruling class ideology also will be there. This danger it is there. To overcome such kind of situation, there is a need to be democratize ourselves and all. To democratic expression, there he tried to pick up the Erich Fromm. We have to learn from Erich Fromm. That way he tried to look at the Marxism from the humanist angle, and also moralistic angle. That way it is he give the emphasis more on that point, and that's what I believe. Next it is that we look at the Gramsci, you know it very well. Gramsci, the way he try to, Gramsci is also is critical about the orthodox Marxism. It is not the people not governed by the force. It is only through the consent they create some kind of the commonsensical understanding, and that we are calling as a hegemony. One kind of uncritical past will be there. Such that level the ruling class they accommodate. They can create the what we can say, some kind of changes from the above. And they say this thing, ultimately they want to keep the status quo. The status quo may be identified with, that may be called as a freedom also. That freedom that can be called as a culture, that may be called tradition. Some that may be called today we are calling as a nation. Anybody critical about this kind of the status quo or the nation, and they may be anti-social, they try to talk about. There the how hegemony plays an important role. There he likes the Gramsci. Then at the same time, of course, Gramsci is later, of course, he didn't to move further. That kind of limitation also Balagopal identified. But the way he deviated from the Marxism, or within the Marxist tradition, the post-Marxist tradition, somewhere you can locate him with the Gramsci and Raymond Williams. These are the people where they try to identify. Later, the Frankfurt School thinkers, such as Erich Fromm, Adorno, he quotes. There we can say. At the same time, later anyway, doesn't mean that he goes to postmodernist position and all. He also find the limitation with the postmodern theory, and he say that it is the one kind of epistemological position only, modernity and postmodernity, and most of the movements is within the modernism one can be said, but where postmodernism it can't provide one kind of we maybe provides a internal criticism, or maybe say the limitations of modernity it can be exposes the way our inquiry of things. But it is not a theory to be based on for the struggle. That is his argument. There we can. That means we can easily locate Balagopal largely identify with the some kind of the want to have the better society and just society, and how to achieve the thing. Somewhat initially starting believe with the socialism. The socialism means the classless society. We can say classless society or Samasamajam. I told. In the Samasamajam later he tried to talk of where we have seen the Gramsci, you can say further, one has to take the other alternative forces also, you have to bring it in alliance. There the Dalits and women, other groups also there, where the people has to be organic intellectuals, they can lead, and has to create the counter hegemony to that one. There I believe Balagopal it is somewhere located in the post-Marxist tradition. At the same time, we can't also totally fix him. This is his position like that. It is also changing, and wherever it is useful for the people, such aspect of the thinkers only will take, either Gramsci or Rosa Luxemburg, or it is Erich Fromm. And he is not totally identified with these people. There he tried to say, making us to be, as you told, humanism where you can, but is in a contest you have the rigid kind of argumentation which is there. The people, you know, the kind of theoretization, Marxist theoretization, they never be critical. Even in the light of the Dalits movement also never be critical. There is some kind of, Balagopal also argues, one kind of arrogance it is there. Marxism is a solution, Naxalbari, Eki Rasta like that. It is a solution for all the problems. That kind of arrogance it is there. Then they expect that all other popular struggles also has to be merged with this thing.
So on the Dalit movement, Kesava, on the Dalit movement, you know, one thing I found quite interesting is where Balagopal, when he is talking about the Chundur massacre, he's saying something quite out of the ordinary, and then he says that if Dalits were to defend themselves from these atrocities, then it's not just enough to expose the state machinery or the ruling government or you know, or even the so-called Brahminical social order in an abstract sense. But what we might need is a kind of a what he writes is something else, which is he says that this is the present scenario as far as Chundur goes, and may tilt one way or the other in a day or two across the district and also in the neighboring districts. the forward caste landowners are in an aggressive mood and the Dalits are in a state of apprehension. Then he says, the immediate political need is the creation of a militant organization for ensuring Dalit self-defense, village by village. Right? Nobody has as yet even begun to organize them, though all the democratic forces in this state have been wholesomely vocal and active in organizing protest demonstrations and solidarity meetings. They do have an important purpose to serve, but the real organization of militant self-defense and resistance is not going to be very easy and may indeed turn violent, but there is no option. So I really am interested in his idea of Dalit self-defense. Reminds of the Black Panthers. They had their own self-defense thing, which also then takes us back to some kind of a resistance, a little bit like a armed struggle kind of a resistance. So I find this very interesting that he is actually talking about Dalits organizing militant resistance village by village and not just doing some kind of a democratically expose the ruling government or something, which is more symbolic kind of a protest.
No, that is reflects the mood of the day that time.
Okay.
The Chunduru contest. Already in 1985, it is Karanchedu massacre took place. And that is the way they gave the way for the Dalit politics. The Dalit Mahasabha is formed. And where we can see the autonomous Dalit movement in Andhra Pradesh can be seen. Then come to 91, there is the kind of already people got politicized. That is Chunduru is nearby my place. And people, we also actually involved in the Chunduru struggle as students from Hyderabad University.
Chunduru is which year? 90?
91.
91, okay, okay.
There it is, that time also already Dalit mobilization take place in this thing, but not organizational level and the same way it is the way the militant struggles of the ML parties are there. It is not there. That he feel that thing, the people has to be organized.
That's right.
They need to be organized, and also there is one kind of initiation by the Satyamurthy. That time itself they started the Samta party, Samta voluntary force. It should be there like that mood it is there, and many young youth also they came forward. At the time of Karanchedu, even the radical politics also people are involved and some other people involved. Then Chunduru understood that the autonomous Dalit movement is emerged. He felt that way, that is the mood. Really they felt such kind of organization is required. But interestingly, it is nothing happened. Even though such a large mobilization took place, the organization level it is not taken over.
That's the thing. I think that's where he
is emphasizing. Till now also it is a Balagopal point is
it's very valid.
Make relevant. His point is that from the experience of the people as a victims, they themselves has to be organized.
He is opposing what looks like he is opposing this Jantar Mantar model of politics. Organize in the village, organize in your locality, like that's the message of Shaheen Bagh also, right? Organize in your neighborhood, your locality.
They are organized also. The Chunduru kind of against that one, the large scale mobilization, the Dalits are organized.
Yeah, and that's where he wants to build up further on that, And to me it looks like he fears that it will become this kind of civil society protest kind of a thing. He fears that things might go in that direction. And that's why he's, I think, emphasizing on the local, village-based, militant, resistant.
His point is that there is no other way.
Yeah, exactly. There is no
other way. State missionary and the landed community already they reached to the power.
Talking about the landowners.
In coastal Andhra, the community, peasant communities of the Alkama, and they reach the power through Telugu Desam.
Yeah.
Oh, once upon a time they are in the communist party. Later they became, after Telugu Desam party, they established their power.
So from the communist party they shifted to Telugu Desam.
No, that is the natural growth of the community and all. They established as a power. Not only power, the problem is that not only reaching to the power, they want to show the power and all. They celebrate the power. Then it is the violence becoming inevitable.
Yeah.
For them, they want to see the through violence only they want to establish. That's why where we can see Chunduru in Karanchedu also. The landed community, it is. But the Chunduru struggle we can see because of other way we can understood that is assertion of Dalits.
That's true. That's true.
The sets of Dalits, they can't be tolerated by this one and all. So many times is happening that for example the contest, they're questioning the
Yeah.
power of the landlords.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
The educated youth, it is compared in Sunduru, more Dalits are studied than the other upper caste people.
Yeah, you refer to Satyamurthy. Seen it.
No, I admire Satyamurthy like anything. For me, Satyamurthy is enough.
Oh, okay, okay,
He's
okay.
the kind of politics, the kind of creativity he had. Both in Dalit politics and ML politics also. His role is very prominent. Any particular in Dalit aesthetics. And still the last, he somehow struggled to work out. As you told, that is Balagopal says, let us have some kind of militant Dalit organization.
Oh, like
he
that.
experimented to certain extent. Till the end, the Satyamurthy Sagar, he experimented such level. For his success, that is different. But he mobilized the students, young youth, and such level it is there. And
Was there also a time which you are aware of when apparently Kansiram's party tried to do some alliance with
Satyamurthy, yes, initially they identified Satyamurthy and Katti Padma Rao and even Bajja Tarako. Initially they identified with the 90s.
So Kansiram had visited.
Kansiram visited. They thought that something will happen.
Yeah.
The like same thing happened in UP. Something is
I
happening.
even
Like
read somewhere
but
that
within no time they realized it won't to stand.
I also
the
somewhere
style
read.
of the way the Andhra Bahujan Samaj Party, the kind of distribute tickets and the prioritizing the issues, they totally disillusioned and all. What I believe that thing, rather than from here, it is such kind of model from how to come from the local level. Dalit politics, it is how to come as autonomous, independent. There is a source potentiality is there. But rather than looking for the Bahujan Samaj Party model from the Mayavati from outside, but let they come from inside, it has much more strength and all.
DSP people will take offense if we say that they are from the outside. They think it's their right to go everywhere.
People may have some kind of letters have by Hindi and all that kind of
That's true,
imagination, romanticism it is there. My point is that the letters have come to the politics, Dalit politics emerged from the within the Andhra.
Yeah.
Already there are a lot of struggles are there. Fragmentary struggles are there. People already fought. The legacy is there. Dalit struggle, legacy of Dalit struggles are there. Only consolidation it is remaining and all. That is this is possible also. Now there is in Telangana also that kind of potential it is there. Andhra also it is there. And all.
Yeah.
Dalit politics they have some more space. They can demand. Of course, they try to see that thing that forces should not be emerged. Both the ruling communities. Andhra and Telangana they take care of, but they won't stand for a long time. That is the only force it is one can believe it and all. Even ML politics also now it is not that much, nowhere it is there. It is not visible. Only we can say Dalit politics it is there.
What is the awareness about Balagopal in Andhra Pradesh today, in today's context? Is anybody reading him? What the people were getting inspired?
Balagopal says.
Is there a documentary film or something made on him?
Balagopal, it is Human Rights Forum. They totally identified with the Balagopal. And almost
still alive and active?
Yeah, very active organization there. Active organization. One way Andhra Pradesh will be APCLC it is there, and also Human Rights Forum it is there. They give the new line of thought in the human rights organization. Taking up the issues of the health, education, Dalit issues, many different level it is there. And almost all his writings are, it is, now they have the Balagopal.org, that book, it is almost all his writings are, it is there.
Oh, I see.
Next is there, now many books are coming out, whatever it is there. His pamphlets and his writings, both English and Hindi, not Hindi, Telugu, lot of books are there. Latter days is totally concerned Adivasi struggle, Adivasi issues, health, education, laws. It is many things it is there.
Okay.
That level Balagopal legacy it is there. Nobody can occupy his space and all.
Yeah, no, we should also try to do something in my teaching in the department. I am trying to introduce Balagopal's readings, in the syllabus, in the course. I think we need to really get Balagopal to be studied you know, even within the university system, why not? You know, because I mean, the kind of acuity and analytical rigor he shows in really, you know, examining Indian society. There's no other person you can think
One
of.
more thing is also,
So, yeah.
last point, what I would like to say, where Balagopal is totally heading. Yes, generally we used to see for the after revolution everything is over, no? And classless economic equality, like that we very much focus and all. But he argues that thing, it is not only one has to fight against the exploitation, one has to fight against the one's own selfishness, greediness and weakness, anxieties, that he can name it as a human nature. Their human nature it is there. And more than that, what he argues that thing is, like I understood that is somewhere close to the idea of the Ambedkar, where he argues not only is the economic equality after getting everything, there is a need to have the one kind of associated living, collective associated living is very much important. It is not only, it is only Samajam and social equality, social economic equality, social justice. It is also, this is required. Associately, how you live with others. And
About,
for that we have to be
something like you talked about Ambedkar, so he's no sort of Maitri.
Maitri,
Yeah.
no, Maitri,
yeah.
and for that we have to not only fight against exploitation, we have to fight against us also.
Exactly, that within us also. There
We
is
have
something,
to fight against us. That is where it is. I think Balagopal very strongly believe that point. There he tried to see the new society where the dignity and self-respect is important. Without having the dignity and self-respect, the new society or revolution is meaningless. He tried to say this.
Great, okay. I guess we had a good conversation. We enjoyed it. I hope
Yes.
the viewers will also enjoy it. Thank you
it
so
is-
much.
Thank you.